This conference will now be recorded.
Ann, are you able to hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Great.
All right, we should be good.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order the October Cape Carteret Planning Board meeting. Before we get started, I just want to make one statement. At last month's September Board of Commissioners meeting, there was a participant whose behavior I do not want to see repeated in the planning board meetings. I think that the good people of Cape Carteret deserve the dignity afforded to them, that everybody who attends, that we should respect each other. And I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to ask that everybody behaves as appropriately as they would expect their neighbor to. Next thing on the agenda is approval of the meeting minutes from September 7th. Has everybody had a chance to read that? Does anybody have any comments or changes to it? Paxson?
One vote changing the recommendation from 30% to 5%. And the second vote to send the UDO on to the commissioners with a favorable recommendation, yes or no. I only saw one motion.
You see one motion. I see two motions in the minutes. Sarah voted on the motion for a 30 to 5. Cameron seconded.
Where's the vote? There's no vote on the motion.
Oh, I see. You're talking about the number of people who voted in favor. I believe it was. I know what the vote was. Do we want to re-record it to pull that up?
Not reflected in the minutes.
Yeah, we'll have to add it to the minutes. Or if I could go back to the recording and find it exactly. I know what the number was, but if you want me to provide that to you in the exact place. Okay.
We're going to add it to the minutes.
So it was 3 in favor. And that was the 3 members that were present. And then So there was,
Exactly. I did not vote in favor of that changing the 35.
right, but there was no motion for that change. It was,
Chair Hall asked for a motion to change the 30% to 5%. Mrs. Wax made the motion to change from 30% to 5%.
mhm,
Mr. Watts seconded.
mhm.
Chair Hall, Mr. Watts voted to provide a favorable recommendation. Well, wait, that's a different subject. Different subject. There was no vote recorded on the change in the 30 to 5. Then there was another vote to provide a favorable recommendation
To the Board of Commissioners. Right. We had two motions and two votes. One was 30 to 5, the change from 30 to 5. That one, and it was, you voted no. It was three yes, 1 no. That was one. The 3-1, right, it does not say 3-1. I think she's going to go ahead and add that. Mhm. You're welcome. Anything else? Okay, motion to accept the minutes? Second? All in favor? Barbie got that?
This is to include her comments as well.
Yes. Okay, next up is election of a vice chairperson. This is so that we meet the requirements and the rules of procedure that we adopted about 2 months ago. Last meeting, Sarah made a motion to nominate Bruce, but Bruce was not here, so we tabled it at that point. Did you want to bring that motion back?
Again, to nominate Bruce as,
Does anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Bruce, and you will accept it?
I will.
Okay, are there any other nominations for chairperson? Okay, can I see a show of hands for Bruce Williamson to fill the role of co-chair for 1 year? Okay, you got that, Barb? You won't vote for yourself, Bruce? Okay. Thank you very much, Bruce. We appreciate that. Okay, next on the agenda is the review of a rezoning request for the property located at 704 on Highway 58. And this is a rezoning from R13 residential to B20 commercial. And I understand there's some people here for public comments. Zach, do we want to hear from Mr. Hudson first, who submitted, or do we want to do, and then go to public comments?
Yeah, if you wanted to have the applicant present first.
Okay,
And then you could entertain public comments after that. And then just to clarify for the record that rezoning is from an R30 residential to B20.
right. Can you get that up on the board? Do you have the ability to put that up on the board where that is? Mr. Hudson, did you have something you wanted to present, the package? Okay, so what I see here is that that is not a property that you do in fact live here in town. And that property is currently a residential piece of property, had been a commercial piece of property some time ago, and then it was changed. Mhm. And the property adjacent to it is in fact a B20, is zoned B20. Zach, have we received anything from the adjacent property owners?
Not aware of anything that's been received.
And, okay. And Mr. Hudson, my understanding is that the purpose of that is to use that existing structure there, which is currently a small home, for the purpose of what is now a home business. to make it an office. And my understanding is that you intend to also put another structure on the property to allow for parks. So you understand that would have to, you would have to come back to the town and present your plan for whatever structure you plan to put there. Anything that's approved or disapproved or recommended here or from the Board of Commissioners doesn't allow you to build something without first going and getting the appropriate permits. Okay.
Chairman, my name is John McLean. I know all the women up there, but I don't know the men, except Mr. Williams. You mind, I can Zoom with you, but I never have. That's it.
So this is Cameron Watts.
We've met before, but it's been on TV.
And I believe if you see email from Neil, it actually says Charles, doesn't it? So that, and I understand. Did you have something you wanted to add? No. So I understand that, Paxton, you wanted to make some comments. Are you ready now to make those comments? Okay.
And the dearest wish of any widow is to have a plumber, an electrician, a heating and air conditioning man in town that she can count on. And I would love to on the property that for years was owned. Each one has got a map right here. And I don't know what has changed, but I think it would be a wonderful service for all the people in town, particularly we, to be able to call in and have supplies on hand and not have to go to someplace to get supplies. And I am very much in favor of this rezoning to its former zone.
Thank you, Paxton. Well, that obviously that is high praise coming from Paxton, because if she doesn't like something, she's going to let you know. So obviously, you know, so does anybody have anything else they want to add? Go ahead, Mr. Hudson. Right. Mhm. Mhm.
Can I ask a question about the history of this property? It was zoned commercial at one time,
Yes, B20.
and then it was changed to residential. When did that?
I'm the one who's but yeah, I believe it was the Dudley Farm is what was the property going. It was the old Dudley Farm. If you look back at old aerial photos, you can see a series of barns. One is still there. We do plan to kind of restore that. We don't want to take it off the property. I don't know when the old farmhouse was taken down and they put modular now, maybe that might have been when it was rezoned. This is probably in 2012 because that space is not. And I don't know if it's because he put the house, the modular there, that he switched it from tax, whatever, from these 20 to no longer what's gone. That, I believe.
You don't know when that took place?
I believe it was probably around 2012, 2012, or 13, when the modular was installed.
So it's been that way for 10 years,
Yeah, Mr. Tapple lived there.
and it's currently unoccupied.
Well, we bought it in June, and it's currently unoccupied. Survey and audit procedure and everything.
Bill and Jackie, Jackie must have lived there 30, 35 years. It was long-term residents.
Does anybody have anything else? Any questions or discussion from the board? Okay. Now, Mr. Hudson, I just want to make clear that changing this to B20 will not give you permission to store a number of vehicles or anything like that on the property. Okay. Okay. Okay, great. Right. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, well, does anybody have any problem with anything that we've discussed here? So I would like to make a motion that we forward a favorable recommendation to the Board of Commissioners to go ahead and change that property back to B20 for the purpose of that, which is essentially retail.
Is that your motion?
Yeah, that's my motion.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? You got that part? Okay, next up is a review of the tasks that we have coming up for the land use plan. And among us right now is also the land use plan steering committee, who also worked with Summit and Darby on developing the UDO, which we sent a favorable recommendation to the Board of Commissioners last month for that. Now we're moving on to the land use plan, and all of that will be done between the steering committee and the planning board. So right now I'm going to turn it over to Ann Darby from Summit. Ann, you got it?
Hi, yes, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you. I look forward to next time I can be there with you in person again. So we want to talk this evening about the existing and emerging conditions and your responses to those, any feedback. Susan sent the document around, correct? Or do you want to go through them?
And everyone on the steering committee and on the planning board received a copy of the existing emerging conditions report.
Okay, great. Great. And so what I'm hoping today is to hear feedback that you have about existing and emerging conditions. And again, we've gotten feedback from Susan and from Zach, made changes accordingly. The existing and emerging conditions is a fairly prescriptive document. The CAMA legislation tells you exactly what you need to have in it. And so really, I was hoping that the bulk of this meeting could be reviewing the draft vision statement, which we've created as a straw man from all of the vision statements that people have submitted either in paper, in person, or most of them on the website. So what we do is created an amalgamation of that and want to get your responses to it. And then just talk about what the plan is going to entail and next steps. Does that sound good to you all?
Yeah. All right, Ann, are you going to take the board and go ahead and put it up on the, so everyone can see?
Zach, can I share my screen? Oh, great. Okay, easy. Sorry, my computer is a little bit slow this evening. Okay, so go ahead.
I just wanted to tell the people who are here and online that this report is also on the town website, and it's just full of some really interesting data that about our town that's worth just going ahead and looking over. You know, just interesting. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Ann, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Thank you, Susan. I would reiterate that if you're interested in seeing a lot of statistics and maps about Cape Carteret, to understand that in context, in terms of data, it is really interesting, and all of that data is going to inform the plan moving forward. So if you have a chance, the website is capecarteretplan.com, and you can Google Cape Carteret land use plan, and it will come right up. For those of you who haven't been involved in this process, we're doing one plan that will satisfy both the requirements of General Statutes Chapter 160D, which talks about comprehensive plans and requires that all localities have a comprehensive plan in order to enact zoning. And also the CAMA legislation, which is for coastal Carolina communities or localities that that have specific environmental requirements, which I'll talk about as well. But I first want to talk about the vision statement. So we got a lot of vision statements, mostly, as I said, from the website. And the recurring themes you'll see on your screen. Small town atmosphere, no big box stores, better design standards. People really appreciate that the town is safe and really feel invested in making sure it stays that way. People want more walkable and bikeable development, more opportunities to walk and bike, have more public spaces, more parks, and maybe just general open spaces, plazas. Some comments about citizen involvement and participation. I think people are very eager to be part of civic processes, which is a great thing about Cape Carteret. Flood reduction and stormwater mitigation are paramount, as you all know. Anyone who lives in Cape Carteret knows that this is something that the plan really needs to address. Again, it's repetitive on this list because it was repetitive in the vision statements. Bike and pedestrian trail connections, infrastructure to support growth, and also traffic calming measures. I think people are really aware that that 58 and 24 are sort of, as someone said, act as the de facto main street of Cape Carteret, which people find problematic. And again, the vision statements in terms of keeping coastal identity, protecting natural resources and wetlands. People were pretty clear across the board that they don't want very high density, and I think that this means not necessarily not increasing density, but I think it means high-rise buildings, so large hotels, 12 stories, etc. More public water access was a common theme, and also complete streets. We heard the term complete streets a lot. So again, to be clear, what we do, and I think I say this every meeting, we work in an iterative process, which means we ask questions, we get information, we synthesize that information, and then ask your response. So this is not a perfect vision statement, but the idea is that I'm hoping that whether it's in this meeting or whether you come up with something, you know, when you're walking your dog later, let us know and give us your comments. This is the draft vision statement that we came up with based on all of the submitted vision statements. And that is, Cape Carteret is a vibrant coastal town with beautiful natural resources, wildlife, and wetlands. The unique charm of the town resides in the local small businesses, community, safe and walkable streets, and public open spaces. The beauty and character of Cape Carteret makes it an ideal place for children, families, and seniors to enjoy. So, I just want to hear your reactions to that.
So, Anne, my understanding of a vision statement is that it gives us the end state of or a picture of what we want the future to look like.
Right. So we should have prefaced it in 2045. Cape Carteret is.
Well, the statement that you have right now is as far as I'm concerned is a statement of what we have today.
I agree. I think generally what we heard was we want to keep the good things that we love about Cape Carteret and increase the walkability, public open spaces, etc. And the response is we want it to be more aspirational. Again,
I do think that's what I would like to see is a more aspirational statement.
Okay, tell me a little bit more about the difference that you'd like to see.
I would like to see definitely, like the number 2040 in there. So we could define, what the future is.
Sure.
Can can you bring up the list again of the results that you got from the vision statement
Yes.
community input?
Mhm.
So I would say that for small town atmosphere, that we add the word maintain small town atmosphere,
Okay.
protect local businesses. You know, I think we have everything there. We just need to add, you know, some qualifying words before it.
Sure. And how about, I think protect, yes, but also we heard we want more local businesses. So protect and grow, or protect and nurture.
Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, absolutely. And can you just hang on? Excuse me,
Sure.
hang on one second. There's some
Sure.
comments from the floor. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it or not. You may want to come up
Actually,
here.
Susan, if you'll just repeat it, that would be great.
Okay.
You're the only one I can hear.
And thank you for presenting something that didn't put me to sleep for a change. Other than that, yeah, the vision statement's okay, but to me, it sounds like something would be on a tour or a brochure to advertise what our town's like right now.
Right.
I'd like to see something that all we want to do, as you said a minute ago, what it's going to be like in 2045. But I've seen a number of vision statements about Carteret that is more visionary than this one right here.
Okay.
Maybe amount of what you put together. Sometimes you have to use some creative language and some words that maybe you wouldn't use in a brochure to advertise the town, to create some interest in the speaker. I think we can do better than this.
And Dave shared with me that a vision statement had been written previously. How long ago do you think it was, Dave? A couple of years ago, or 10 years? Maybe we need to, you know, pull that out and dust it off and take a look at that. And
is that the one that was in the strategic plan?
There's been numerous vision plans been written through the years doing X, Y, and Z. Some of them are a lot like this, just describing what we are. Some of them are truly vision statements, describing what we want to be, what we will tolerate, what we want parameters of down. And using the correct verbiage, you could do that all in a paragraph, just like that.
I can, Mr. Fowler, I can hear part of what you're saying, but
Well, that was what you wanted to hear.
no, this is good. We create these as just a again, as I said, a straw man, and then you'll bat it around until you feel like it's yours. But what I'm hearing is it needs to be more visionary, and we should reference past vision statements, not just vision statements that were submitted.
Yeah, you know, I think sometimes it's problematic when you take a list you had right there, which looked like to me just a list of regulations that we're going to put on people in the future, rather than a vision statement. And you try to put that list in paragraph form, and sometimes that's folly. My question to you also is this have to be done tonight, or are we going to kick this down the road a little bit and get one maybe that's better?
No, it doesn't. I wanted to basically it doesn't. We don't have to have all of the responses tonight. I think if we started at a meeting rather than sending it out in an email, it'll be on people's mind, and we'll get more feedback. So if you have, that's what I said. If you have thoughts later, please share them with Susan, and she will get them to the planning team.
But we're not going to make a final decision on the vision statement tonight.
No. But we want to start thinking about it. Okay, I'll move on.
In the land use plan from 2007, the thing that I remember most about that is things that I've also heard from the community and I'm seeing here, and that is concern for flooding and commercial encroachment into residential areas. Did you see anything in regard to that, the encroachment issue?
No, I can go through and look at and see if there were any particular responses as opposed to the ones that are in the, we're coming up again and again. We call them themes, but no, I have not heard that or seen that, written as that doesn't, and again, that doesn't mean that, that people aren't thinking it, just might not be what was first on their mind.
Yeah, because I don't think it's something that was what the steering committee came up with from 2007, and I don't think that that's changed. So,
Okay.
Yeah,
Would-
that's
would
correct.
you-
People might not be having the encroachment first thing on their mind, but the first time a business moves into the neighborhood, they will.
Mhm.
And also too, one of the vision statements that I'm familiar with in the past directly addresses encroachment, particularly business into residential. But it particularly approaches that with some flowery language that doesn't offend. So you can get the point across if you do the narratives correctly.
Okay, well, I'm going to take this feedback and we'll take another stab at it and probably send it to Susan to send out to get responses. We can do that via email.
And I'm going to try to find that other vision statement that Dave mentioned and get that to you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I just wanted to go back to the state law, and that is, this is in chapter 160D, and you don't have to read all this. It's a lot of words on a screen, but generally the important words here are comprehensive plan may include, among other topics, any of the following. And that gives you kind of an outline, but it doesn't say you have to include anything in particular, and that's pretty flexible. CAMA legislation, on the other hand, has very specific goals and objectives in 5 different categories. So public access, land use compatibility, infrastructure carrying capacity, natural hazard areas, and water quality. So we are going to create, and from all of our conversations that we've had, I have a ton of notes, especially from the last time I was talking to you all down there, and we will put them into goal objective strategy format, and then that's going to inform the next part of the plan. But in general, this is what we're hearing, and I want to just run this by you. Same as with the vision statement, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be final this evening. I just want to tell you how we're amalgamating what we're hearing. And one is, we want to focus around 4 big ideas for the plan, so that and the way that we'll design the plan and also the document is to design for 3 different readers. We don't want to do a very dense verbiage document, just pages and pages of text like a phone book. And so what we want to do is create a more accessible document. And one of the ways that we'll do that is somebody picks up the plan and says, what on earth is all of this writing about? Okay, well, you can say to your neighbor, it's about 4 big ideas for Cape Carteret. 1, create a walkable town center. 2, protect the town from flooding and stormwater. 3, direct density with wastewater utility capacity. And 4, complete the multi-use trail. And again, you don't have to react to all of this right now. I just want to put it out there. And please, if you have comments, concerns, if it's missing something, please let Susan know. And she will get that information to me and to the planning team, and we'll start incorporating the comments. But again, we're not, yep.
And these big ideas, are these big ideas that are a result of the surveys or by community engagement that we've done? Or are these big ideas that have, okay, so all of this has come from the community itself?
All of it, yeah. I don't have opinions about what you should do in Cape Carteret. Everything is coming from conversations at the open house last time, from the surveys, from the vision statements online, from public comment at meetings. It just happens that that protecting the town from flooding and stormwater is something that comes up consistently every time you talk about Cape Carteret, but also that just happens to coincide with the CAMA objectives.
And Dave wanted to add something.
I just want to make comments. Number 1, that right there, I think hits home. Those four
Mr.
properties.
Fowler, can someone move a microphone closer to, or can you move closer to a microphone?
Those people are sorry when they tell me to do things. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly. Thank you.
You say big ideas there. Bottom line is it'd be better titled if it was old ideas. All four of those things are very worthwhile, and I think we ought to have them in the future plans of this town. And so there's a lot of research and opinion about people who've worked on these things before that are right here in this town still, and some of them are sitting right around here in this room. So I would definitely tap into that resource. And also, too, I went over my papers today a little bit preparing for this meeting, and one thing I noticed was all four of those big ideas are very complex. There's some way, somehow, and I don't know how if you can do this in a land use plan, but you say protect the town from flooding and stormwater. My goodness, you could write a volume on that in Cape Carteret because every year it somewhat changes. And I think one thing that people know, if they see this plan, they ever look at it, they need to realize that, complete the multi-use trail. That's just words on paper, but to actually get that done is a very complex thing. And all four of those things fall in that category. So if some way we could make the public realize that we just can't, as a town, wave a magic wand and some of these things happen, but a little bit of the history about what happens when you put together, say, a walkable town center or a Main Street plan or something like that, how many different factors have to be satisfied, really.
Sure, I totally agree
Make
with
it
you.
a reality.
Yeah, I agree with you. And again, these are not the final objectives or strategies. That again, we want to make sure that the document, the plan, serves all users, right? So that they serve people who need to implement the plan, the Board of Commissioners and the Planning Board, and people who are, just reading the plan to know about more in depth. They can look at all of the objectives and strategies that indeed will be all of these big ideas broken down to all the steps it'll take to make these things happen. But the reason we create these big ideas is to create a little bit more community investment and involvement in the plan, because this is easier. This is easier to say, like, this very dense document. This is just a way of having people get excited about what the plan is and being able to just talk about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think you've hit the nail on the head on that. One thing that the planning board and citizens as a whole need to do, and particularly the Board of Commissioners, just like the first thing up there, I've had a lot of people come to me kind of upset about we're going to consider doing another town center and a Main Street somewhere else and all that. And what's all this new ideas? Well, this idea has been talked about for 15 years that I know of. So I think education among the citizens for what's in this plan and what would be done and how it would affect him is essential, really. Thank you, Ann.
Mm-hmm.
And were you going to provide us with a rendering of, of that de facto Main Street? Or are we going to get something a little more, specific to Cape Carteret, or are we just going to?
Yes, but we are not going to talk about that until we've talked to property owners, because it is more site specific.
Okay.
So yeah, so yes, and again, it's just the concept is there. Zach has asked for a document that talks about what that might kind of generally look like, but I think there's an order of operations.
And I want to make sure that our land use plan really is in fact a plan and not just, a 150-page, vision or book of bright ideas. So how do we get to the point where we know what steps are we going to take? What's the roadmap to, for instance, how are we going to foster a local economy? And
again, that's repeating what Mr. Fowler was saying, which is ignore the, I don't want to confuse people and say that we're going to give you a document with just these 4 big ideas and then you figure out how to do it. But maybe we should move off the big ideas because they just, all of the objectives and strategies, goals, objectives, strategies will get us to these big ideas, but the road itself is a roadmap. I mean, excuse me, the plan itself is a roadmap to exactly what you're saying, Susan.
And when will we start developing that roadmap? And who,
So
and,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, so I'm guessing that Summit will take our input, start building the roadmap, and then we on our end, we start to refine it and define it. Is that?
Exactly.
Okay.
So basically we've spent 8 months so far since we started in March. Did I do the math right? We have spent 7 months doing the getting investment, talking about the bones of the plan, the objectives, the vision statements, etc. And now we're closing that. We'll always take public comments, but it's going to be more about the content of the plan. And then we start writing goals, objectives, according to the bones that the CAMA legislation lays down. And then we flesh out the narrative. That's more of, we just have to explain it in a way that you could pick up the document and have it have the narrative walk you through it. And then the future land use map. We will need feedback from the public, from the planning board, about the goals and objectives, and also about the future land use map. So the next steps will be to post those on the website as well. So if you have not gone to the website, please go to capecarteretplan.com and look at the existing conditions and look out soon for the goals, objectives, and future land use map, because we will need a lot of input. I think that residents of the town know what should happen. It's a question of getting the input and putting it into the format and into a way that will be implementable.
Excuse me, you ladies are hard to stop when you get on the road. May I speak, please? I'm Vaughn Branch, for those who don't know me. The 4th item that you've got on the great idea list, complete the multi-use trail.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a divisive thing, and I think because there are a lot of people, particularly in this room, that want to see that trail completed, and I'm one of them, but I do not want to see Cape Carteret or county tax money go to it. I want to see grant money go to it. And I am one of about half of the town. We just had a bond issue a couple of years ago, and it was defeated, that we decided we did not want to go and borrow money to complete it. So I don't know that that's necessarily a great idea to be bringing the town together on, because there are a lot of people that do not want to see their tax money go into that. This would be town commissioners and the town government the green light. So I am against that.
But to be clear, Vaughn, you are pro the trail, just not the town funding it or going into debt to fund it.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
To be clear, you and the other residents that you're mentioning, you are pro having the trail completed, just not paying for it.
No, I personally would like to see the trail completed, but most of the people that voted against it see it as not necessary, and that it's not going to be used and utilized as is envisioned.
Okay.
I think the pushback, from my understanding, was more of the cost of the trail, not the trail itself.
Well, who's paying for
But who's paying for
it? Right.
So when we went through this a couple of years ago, the question was, there was never huge pushback on having a trail. The issue was, were the people of Cape Carteret going to pay for it with just their tax dollars? So that was where the pushback came from, and that's where the referendum was brought up a couple of years back, and the referendum failed.
Okay, good. I have not heard that history. I appreciate you telling me, but we can work with that. I don't see why we can't include it as a recommendation with a very specific recommendation about funding.
Well, you're going to do what you want to do. I'm just telling you what the situation is. But thank you.
And I have a comment, Susan, if y'all don't mind. There was a big idea, at least it was one that was listed on the one of the earlier lists that did not make the mission statement or the big idea list. And I just wanted to bring that back to everybody's attention. And I think it's important. And that has to do with the unifying design of the town. Whenever you drive through neighborhoods and there is some level of unifying design, it gives that neighborhood character. But if there's no unifying design, it looks like a hodgepodge mishmash of buildings that are just, you know, whatever. I think that Cape Carteret really needs that on their vision statement as well as on the big idea list.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. That's all I had to get feedback. And again, just to reiterate, if you think of something, had a comment that I didn't hear or you didn't want to say out loud or you think of it later, please get that feedback to Susan, and she will make sure that that it gets to the planning team and that it's incorporated in the plan.
Anyone have anything else that they want to add? And thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
So what we're at right now is we're going to start collecting as much information as we can to put into a vision statement. We can look at vision statements from the surrounding towns. We can look at the old vision statements that help us dig up and I'll distribute that. And I'll just, you know, I'll take a stab at it. I'll try to write something up as well and everybody talk on that. And I think most of this we can do really rather than. You guys go on? You can, I'll have it send it. I think that's all we have at this point. We have nothing, that's all that we have on the agenda. Anybody have anything else you want to cover? Anybody have any statements? So I make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?